Four Midwest Guys presents...
Here we go!
I've got a mission for you.
This should be good.
Blend in, find out who's loyal to the good guys and who isn't.
Star Wars Resistance Decoded.
You can work on my team.
Get ready to be impressed!
You've got to be kidding me.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Four Midwest Guys Presents Star Wars Resistance Decoded. Today we will be reviewing episodes 4 and 5. 4 and 5. The reason why we're changing the whole numbering system is technically this should be 3 and 4 the way we've been going, but apparently Disney sees things a little differently and actually counted the pilot as episodes 1 and 2. So therefore 3, 4, and 5. So we're going to cover 4 and 5 today, which is episode 4, Fuel for the Fire, and episode 5, The High Tower. So not to get everybody confused, so we want to keep our numbering the same as they do, so as to keep everybody on the same page. So therefore, if you're looking for episode 3, there isn't one. Well, there is, but
please see episode 2.
4, I should say.
If you want to see episode 2, please see episode 1 and 2.
So yeah, so we're now all on the same page going forward. So
when will 4 be 5? Soon.
When will then be enough? All right, so let's start with Fuel for the Fire. Right off the bat on this episode, we get the whole "prepare to be impressed" line that we use in our own opening, and that's been used in various trailers and whatnot. And we kind of see Kaz; he's still struggling to be a mechanic. He has kind of an engine kind of out all on its own and hooked up, and he doesn't do so hot with it.
Well,
still.
I will admit that he did way more than we thought he could do
on his own.
Yeah, on his own, and it did actually start up. Mm-hmm. But it quickly faded out and flamed out. So
yeah, he's
getting better, but he's still not good.
Not even a little bit. And Yeager's really keeping the pressure on him too. He's like, you have to get this fixed. He's not letting him off the hook. You know, he's like, well, you still have to get it done.
It's your job to finish this.
Finish it. Despite the race, you still have to do it.
Yep.
And of course, you know that he's kind of like ADD. You know, he has his attentions like. Its attention spans. You remind you of that so far, Cass?
I don't know if it's ADD, but he is very easily distracted.
Yeah.
And you can tell he's thinking about random things, and he's just like squirrel.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I don't know. I don't know if that's ADD or not. I mean, it could be.
Yeah.
But he definitely has that. He's very distracted.
Yeah. Very
distractible.
Very much so, and you can tell because the engine ends up falling in the water. And you know, when they bring it back out, he reminds him. He says, "You need to fit in. You need not to basically draw attention to yourself." It's basically the line he's trying to give him. But you know, Kaz is still. He's like, well, I'm not a mechanic. I'm a spy. That's who I am, and he's still kind of hanging on to that whole thing going on there. I don't know. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, Yeager's looking at him as. You're a mechanic first, then a spy.
Right.
And Kaz is looking at it as, I'm a spy first, then a mechanic.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what I'm doing. I'm here to spy.
Right.
And he's not realizing that the whole point of being a spy is to blend in and have people not know that you are the oddball out.
Right.
So that's why he's kind of keep pushing him
to go that way and keep his cover up.
Yep.
Because
Because eventually people are going to realize, like, wait a minute, he hasn't fixed anything since he's been here.
Yeah, and what's he doing here, and why is he even trying?
Right?
Who is this guy, essentially? And of course, Kaz kind of pouts and goes away and ends up at Aunt Z's bar, and he's doubting he can fit in with Yeager and his crew. Even he has, I'm not sure where I fit in, and even Aunt Z's like, well, there's other places you can go. There's other ways to survive here, kind of thing, but. I don't know. And then you even get the little pedophile guy, Godel, offers him a place to stay with him, which is a little bit too much like Family Guy's pedophile. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely had that. Well, hi there.
Right. So you can come stay with me. How are you? All right. But yeah. So so enter Rucklin, who's voiced by Elijah Wood, aka Frodo, for those of you who don't know who that is. And his crew, and they're kind of basically they're seeing this as their way, or at least Rucklin is. They're really the whole time they're using Kaz.
Right.
You know, so Rucklin's kind of a hothead, I guess. Wants to be a big time racer, wants to be an ace like everybody else here. And then you got he's got was it Lynn Gava? She kind of has that World War II female iron worker look to her. That's probably the best way. There's not much. She's kind of a static character.
Yeah.
And then you got the Celestin Goric Wiles, which unlike Nine Nub, who's the other Celestin we've seen in Return of the Jedi, Force Awakens, Last Jedi, he speaks English.
Right.
And he's kind of playing along with Rucklin, and they, to me they kind of remind me of like a young street race crew, kind of hustling.
Yeah, it definitely
kinda,
seemed like hustlers, almost
Yeah.
like what it reminds me of is like some of those the movies that we used to see as kids, where it's the kid who wants to fit in, and has rich parents, and the the jocks or whoever know that he's trying to fit in, so they're going to throw a party at his house, and they just wreck the place. And that's kind of what the feeling that I get from this.
It's kind of that meets Fast and the Furious kind of race, because they use even the Celestian Goric goes, would be nice if we had some of that hot sauce or that super, they're kind of using that like racing terms and things like that. But anyway, they befriend, they go through the whole befriending Kaz to get Yeager's hyperfuel, and that's all they're after at the end of the day. And I don't know about you, Brian, but I thought when they first raced those speeder bikes, did you think they were stolen? Because I thought
100%, because if they were theirs, they wouldn't have had to go through crawl through all the spaces and everything else.
Right, that's what I was thinking.
To try to get down to where whatever level that was.
Yeah.
And I feel like they were stolen. But at the same time, it was like they got on them really easy. There was nobody around them.
Right.
And
obviously they used it as
and obviously one of them was one of them was already messed with, so that it would fail.
Right.
So
yeah, it would, and it just shows you to the depths and the levels that they would go. That somebody would plan it out that detailed and that level of deceit just to get
it was a setup.
somebody on there.
It was a setup. That's for sure.
A complete setup, a complete heist almost setup. Anyway, but yeah, we also, probably the best part of this whole episode for me was we learned a little bit about Yeager's past. We found out through the pictures that was on his desk and stuff that Yeager was a fighter pilot at the Battle of Jakku, so he's an X-wing pilot, and that he also has a family, which was interesting to me. And also if you look at the picture of his family, and you were the one that caught this, Brian, why don't you bring it up? So when they're looking at a picture of his family in the background, it's actually
the background of the planet that they're on is actually the one for Disney World.
Star Wars land.
The new Star Wars land that they're building down there is actually it's the same image that's behind them. So they're tying in Star Wars Resistance into Disney World.
Yeah, so it's a nice ploy to bring in.
Good job, marketing team.
I believe the planet is Batu. I could be wrong if I'm not. Don't crucify me. But so it's interesting to see them tie all that in. So, but it was also cool to learn a little bit more about Yeager. So we've got multiple levels. We're starting to figure him out a little bit as we go. Also, Rucklin's group says he's also the only one who raced once, but he could have been an ace, but apparently
he was good enough.
Good enough, but so Rucklin thinks the only way he was good enough is because he was using that hyperfuel that he's holding, so that's why they want it so bad.
Right.
Because in their mind, that's how they've put the two and two together.
Right, but we do come to find out though that the fuel, he actually is only holding on to it because it's unstable.
It's so super unstable, right?
And so that's why he's actually holding on to it, and they don't realize that.
Yep.
And then his ship blows, and
he
saves him, and then he was like, then he gets mad at him for saving. He's like,
right.
I couldn't have married it. Like, no, you couldn't have.
No, you couldn't have. And he's like, I'm trying to save you from yourself, you asswipe. Essentially. But yeah, it's that whole. I guess there's that, like you've been saying, they've been using the whole family lessons kind of thing in each. So this was this week's lesson, I guess, for the kids. Is be careful who you choose as your friends.
Right. He had that part. You also had the always do the right thing. So even though those people had tricked him and everything else, he still did the right thing by trying to help them.
By trying to save him, from himself. So, So this brings me to, as you, Brian and I often go back and forth about, I'm always looking for Jedi. I'm always looking for the Force because to me that's Star Wars. So I was before we began reviewing some of these, and we were thinking, well, hopefully there'll be some Jedi in there somewhere or something, some reference to the Force, and so far there's been nothing. But I'm holding out hope here. I'm thinking, just by the little clues we're getting on Yeager, so here's my, is Yeager a Jedi or is he Force sensitive? So here's my points that he might be. He's reluctant to fight. He seems to be an ace pilot, so we hear. He seems to be hiding something, or there's other levels to him that we've yet to find out. And he's very forgiving to Kaz, especially when Kaz, ultimately does the right thing. Like in this episode, he's very forgiving. He didn't fire him, didn't kick him out. And the last thing I thought, when I got thinking about it, he could be hiding out like Kenobi is, in the middle of nowhere. Kenobi was on Tatooine, of course, guarding Luke. I'm not saying he's guarding anybody, but he may just be hiding.
Right.
Himself.
I think he tried, not to cut you off.
No, sure.
I think he's trying to escape
his past. Okay.
And I also think that Kaz reminds him of, I don't know if it was his son or daughter in that picture.
Yeah.
And he didn't get to do that and that's why he's kind of like a father, uncle/father figure for Kaz.
Okay.
Is that he's kind of seeing that this as his redemption to be able to help.
Right. And he did say to Tam, too, because Tam's like, why do we even bother with Kaz? He's like, well, I gave you a chance, too. So he's obviously a Father Flanagan kind of...
Yeah, the mentor type.
Mentor kind. So it's very possible as well. So I don't know. I'm just kind of holding out hope that maybe...
Oh, God, I hope
just
so.
a little bit of the Force somewhere in there.
Somewhere.
Reference.
It's got to be there. If the Force... So if you go back to Star Wars and the Force is in everything and, blah, blah, blah.
Right, yeah. I think,
the Force has to be in this show. If the Force is in everything, you're
guiding my destiny.
Yeah, like it says it is. So,
so I don't know. I'm just holding out hope. We'll see. So that's the. We'll give our grade here at the end of the podcast for this, but we're gonna move right into episode 5 now, the High Tower. So, I like this episode the best so far. This starts off with the power outage, which seems to be apparently caused by a lack of fuel, which I found interesting because this is, at least I thought it was a giant fuel depot in the middle of nowhere on the edge of wild space, but apparently they're not getting enough fuel shipments, I guess, from the pirate attacks, and therefore they can't even have enough fuel to run their own facility.
Which is weird. Is it just an outpost or is it a fuel facility?
I thought it was a fuel depot.
So it could be. So it could be just be that the pirates or First Order are blocking the fuel shipments from getting in, so they're running out of. So
they've actually ran the depot dry, which is interesting.
Yeah,
because that thing would have pretty deep tanks, I would think.
Well, but also he also says we're going to ration the fuel supply
for 100 hours.
For 100 hours.
Yeah.
We're doing it for 4 days.
Yeah, that's pretty drastic.
Yeah, and it's like so. I don't know. And it's just odd to me that we're like. You're either running out of fuel or you're not. Why are you rationing for 100 hours? Yeah.
Or they're hitting certain levels that they don't want to hit. I don't know. That part is a little confusing to me. And then this episode didn't do a good job of really... I mean, they kind of explain it, and we'll get into it, but it not real well in detail anyway. We find out that Aunt Z... So they go to Aunt Z's, and she thinks that Captain Doza is the First Order, or that he is part of the First Order. And
which piques
Kaz's interest, obviously, and he's like, "Oh, wait a minute." He's like, "BB-8, we're on to something." So it's and she makes the her excuse is, well, the power is still on the tower. All you gotta do is look up there. Down here, it's flickering on and off, but if you look up there, everything's fine and cozy. And she says their First Order's behind it, Captain Doza's First Order. Okay. And then we find out that this fuel shipment comes in the middle of the night, and sure enough, it has First Order members on board that they're carrying for these secret meetings or meetings at dark. They cleared the whole shopping area because there was a curfew he put into effect, so nobody could see him coming.
Right.
So there was all kinds of things kind of being done on the D-low, at least, and not on the up and up. That's for sure. I don't know. What do you think about all that, Darren? You think that's vindictive of Doza being good, bad, and different.
Well, you never know if it's just him being blackmailed or if it was him actually, like, he reached out first.
Right.
Or if it's just his hands are kind of tied, like, like Lando's was in Cloud City.
Right.
So you never know, like, you never know.
This deal's getting worse all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could be. Also in this episode, we finally meet the hype Faison character. That is the one played by Donald Faison from Scrubs. He's the surgeon from Scrubs.
Right. Did you catch it when he sat down in the booth? He sat down just like Greedo did.
Did he? I did catch that.
So like it was a booth, looked very similar.
Yeah.
To the one from
New Hope. Yeah.
And they sat down in it. Yeah. And he sat there and he sat back like this and kicked his leg up like he was. It was pretty funny.
I didn't catch that. I have to go back and look at that now. I have to rewatch it just for that. I can't believe I missed it actually. But yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So. it was flipped around and he was sitting where Han would have been sitting.
Yeah.
And then when they go over and sit, they were sitting where he would
be sitting.
It was pretty funny.
It's interesting. He's obviously he's won everything this year, and according to him, he won everything last year. The twist to him is that him and Tam used to be, I guess, really good friends at some point, maybe on the
and
same
you can tell too, like it was either they raced together on the same team, or she was his mechanic, or you know what I mean? Like
they were a team. They were close.
Or best friends who wanted to be the aces, and they
were going to be aces together.
Yeah,
kind of thing. And I guess he got promoted. He got to be an ace, and he just kind of left her behind and hadn't talked to her since, which is kind of shitty, really. So yeah, I don't know. Hard to say what's going. I would definitely leave some resentment there, some unresolved issues. The other thing we found out about FaZe is he wants nothing to do with, or Hype, I should say. Hype Faison wants nothing to do with the First Order. Mm-hmm. He tells Kaz, I don't escort them. I'm down here when they're up there. I don't want to be around them whatsoever.
Doesn't want to be associated with them.
So does this mean, there's obviously some backstory between him and the First Order? Is it family related?
It could be.
Them being, since they are the new empire, so to speak, something in the past there. So it'll be interesting to see what they flush out with him going forward and how he might be willing to help Kaz and his missions against First Order, because he obviously has no love for them whatsoever. Mm-hmm. We finally get our first view of the tower. It is very clean. It's prestigious. They have the best food, very luxury.
Right. They have the wait staff. The droid wait staff.
Like a butler or whatever. Yeah. And even Faison's like, hey, whatever you want, we can find it. If you want it, we'll get it for you.
Yeah.
It's that kind of mentality to it, which is in drastic comparison to what's going on, on the lower levels where people are scrapping to get by on whatever they can get. Which is evident by Kaz, because Kaz attacks the tray in a very cartoonish manner, but it kind of illustrates maybe he is starving a little bit.
Or I was thinking that or it's not that he's starving; it's just that's what he used to eat. He used to eat that
he's
stuff.
Used to that lifestyle. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because whoever his dad is, that's the kind of food they used to eat.
Right, like the higher cuisines and stuff like that.
Yep.
That's a good point. Yeah, so a return to what his lifestyle, his way of living, as it was. We also get our first look at in the actual series of Griff Halloran or Halloran. He's the former TIE pilot that we've been talking about.
Right.
So
that we really haven't seen yet.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw his ship in part of the escort as well.
Okay.
So he was involved here. He just wasn't involved in the
He had no speaking lines.
Attack.
Yeah, he had no speaking lines, and and when we do see him in this one, he's sitting in the chair, which is the same scene we see him
in the trailer.
Yeah. And by the end of this, we've actually seen almost everything out of that trailer.
Yeah, except for the Gold Trooper, which may be Phasma and lighting. I don't know.
Yeah, the Gold Trooper, and then also this guy, that Griff guy, walking towards the camera. That was another thing I remember seeing in the trailer, but we haven't seen that yet.
We haven't seen that yet, yeah. But so we're 5 episodes in, and they've pretty much drained the trailers, which is good because that's new material that we have no idea what's coming, which I'm all about. So let's talk about the Doza and the First Order meeting. So Von Reg offers his protection for the attacks on the pirates to help out, even though they're really the cause of them.
Right, because he knows you can stop them.
Right. This is I don't know. They're just they love playing Palpatine's old playbook or whatever. Play both sides against the middle kind of thing. It's kind of a very watered down version of that of the Clone War, if it were, conspiracy. But yeah, so they're and even Doza's like, oh, I'm not going to be. I think he even calls it blackmail or whatever the word is he uses. But yeah, he basically but we also find out though that because he's like, well, I can turn you into the First Republic because he calls them out. He's like for blackmail essentially,
right?
And then they come back and go, well, we can get you for, all the underhanded dealing you're doing with the
separatists,
the underground, the criminal element,
right?
In the universe. So apparently he's making trade deals at least with the criminal syndicates,
right?
In the universe.
And my guess is it's still, and you have it listed there as a survival or profit.
Yeah.
My guess is it's for survival of the Colossus
first and foremost. Yeah,
that's my thought. I don't think it's for profit. I think it's for survival. And if it is for profit, my guess is it's for profit to help his daughter, like set his daughter up.
Yeah,
not really for him personally, but make sure his daughter has everything she ever needs, kind of thing.
Yeah,
he comes across as a good guy.
He is starting to come off as a good guy. He may not be perfect, but yeah, he does the best of his circumstance. At least that's the impression I get so far. His look overall, and I don't have this in the notes, but he kind of has like his even his general outfit or whatever you want to call commander outfit. To me, almost looks like something out of Cloud City. Do you remember the Cloud City guards kind of wearing kind of the same garb?
Well, what he reminds me of when I first saw it, he reminds me of this that commercial with Captain Obvious.
Captain Obvious.
Like the Captain Obvious, like ice buckets are cold. Like that guy, he has that same the shoulder lapels
and stuff. Yeah. That's true. He does have a little bit of bling going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just straight blue. But yeah, he also this is the part where it really feels like a little bit of Japanese anime kind of thrown in too with him. He kind of reminds me of what was it, Star Blazers? Do you remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, there was a captain in there, although he was much older looking, but it kind of gave me that kind of throwback or feel. So people have been making those comparisons to the series, to the old anime series and stuff of the 80s and the early 90s. This is the first time I've really gotten kind of that feel, if you will, out of it. So we'll see where this goes, because Kaz is kind of in over his head now. And not only has he found a little bit of information, he's found a lot of information. And from his perspective, well, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of ourselves here. Let's rewind. So let's talk about the chase scene. So he ends up hiding out in Tor's room.
Right, briefly.
Yeah, and Tor says, I think you misunderstood me being nice to you. She thinks it's romantic, apparently.
Right. And he was like, no, it's not at all.
What are you talking about? A couple things I found interesting about her room is there's a poster in there, and I'm pretty sure that is Sabine's Phoenix symbol that she draws all the time. She drew everywhere, I'm pretty sure. Mm-hmm. I saw that, and I also saw a teddy bear with a Ewok hoodie on it. Yeah. So I was like, little throwbacks, little cool things they threw in there. I don't know. What did you think about the whole chase scene? Because I thought it was pretty well done. It's our first real action we've seen so far.
Right, and it was basically the scenes we saw from
the trailer.
Yeah. So I was okay with some of it.
Yeah.
Some of it felt a little choppy.
Okay.
Because we made the comment the one time on Rebels.
Yeah.
Where one of the running scenes felt off.
Yeah, it's like Super Mario Brother running or something.
Right. And this one, it didn't have that kind of feel.
Yeah.
But you could see where they were struggling how to show depth when it was running.
Yeah, on a narrow bridge. Or
you could tell they were having an issue, and it only showed it for a brief,
few seconds.
Yeah, 3 to 5 seconds, and then it was back to a different angle where it looked more normal.
Right, more action.
Yeah.
Backpack. Yeah, I think we're going to see a little bit more of that. It's like Rebels. They got better as the seasons progressed. They got used to that style of animation, and so it's a learning experience, I think, and hopefully that'll get better. But I enjoyed it. This is our first real action. We got to see him dodging some bolts and stuff like that, and so first real real taste of action really in this series.
Right. It was our first good guy versus bad guy type thing.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing I thought about this chase scene that I found a little disturbing is he's out there walking along the edge, and all of a sudden they're taking bets on will he fall or not. So here's his supposed friends.
Right.
And now Tam's not betting on him, and neither is the other guy, the alien. But everybody else is like, he's like 20 credits, he falls, and all of a sudden,
So then everybody's like, "Give me 60, give me 80." Like,
next thing you know, he's like the main. It's like somebody watching football or something.
Right.
He's the entertainment for the moment.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, I found that a little disturbing. I don't know. Did you find that kind of?
Well, I mean, it was kind of weird, and also especially since your target audience for this obviously is the much younger. Why are you putting that in there for the younger audience? So I mean, maybe they're trying to pull in the little bit older audience that would understand that's what's happening.
Yeah, that could be. Maybe that's a little joke for us, the older. I can see that. So to conclude though, I think kind of where I was going with this earlier, I think Kaz is a little over his head. He hasn't found out just a small piece of information about the First Order. He's now finding out that there are, from his perspective, it sounds like Doza is First Order so far to him, even though we kind of know contrary to the fact, at least from his point of view right now, from what he's overheard.
Yeah, well, he did say, Doza's making a deal with the First Order.
Yeah.
Better tell Poe. Not, here's what the deal is, or here's the situation with he's making a deal.
Right, he's already jumped.
And I can already guarantee that's where the next one's going to be. He's going to reach out to Poe and say he's making a deal. What kind of deal is he making? Well, I don't know. You got to find out what kind of deal it is.
Right, exactly. So, but he's jumping to conclusions because he hasn't flushed it all out.
Right.
Instead of taking the information that he has, he's already put his 2 cents into it. So it'll be interesting to see. He barely escapes this whole, getting shot at 1,000 times. And probably the biggest thing to him is Doza's onto him at the end of the
right.
whole
We
thing.
see at the very end of it, he's watching the video and he's like, "Who are you? Like, who are you?"
Right.
But in the very beginning, he said, "I know everybody's on this base."
Yeah, right. He's covering.
And then he's like, "Who are you?" Well, wouldn't you know?
Well, he's saying that to the First Order to get rid of him. But,
right, but Kaz has been there.
Yeah.
He even raced against his daughter.
Yeah.
So you would think he would know.
Plus all the excitement of the previous episode too, and even Yeager's looking up at Doza, and Doza's looking at through him, and he's like, "That's the last thing we need is attention."
Right. So you
ourselves.
I don't know.
But that's exactly what's happened to him, though. Now the attention's on him. So it'll be interesting to see if Doza calls him into his office, or if he just lets him keep an extra eye on him.
My guess is he'll walk down to the
mechanics bay,
bay or whatever, and say, just came down to meet the new mechanic.
Yeah.
I need this fixed,
kind of thing.
Yeah. Test him.
See what he's at. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Well, that's our review for both episodes. Let's just give grades for both. Let's start with Fuel for the Fire. What did you think overall grade wise?
C.
Solid C.
I'm not impressed by the whole.
Yeah.
Like we're not even getting like, I can deal with the no Jedi and the no Sith.
Yeah.
I can deal with that, not very well, but I can deal with that if we have the vehicles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we're getting introduced to new vehicles, or in space.
Right. Some fight scenes or something.
I don't need, we're on a water world, and I don't need to see.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard, and I think, and I'll just start off with my grade. I'll give this a B minus. The only reason I didn't give it a lower one is because we got some facts about Yeager and a little bit of background story, which I have extrapolated on, and hopefully it comes true. But I think what's really hurting these first couple episodes, because they're character building episodes, not only do they not have the action, but it's been this whole crazy release schedule that Disney has done, because they put the pilot, they put episode 3, and this one, Fuel for the Fire, which is now episode 4 now, all out at the same time. And then instead of putting the air schedule up to the next episode 5, they just waited, and they just went week after week after week. So we've
been waiting.
We've been waiting for 3 weeks for a new episode.
Right.
And I think that has only increased the amount of drawn out, like, oh my God, are we going to get something out of this? And we finally do get a little bit of action. It's not a ton, but we, once we get to the next episode.
Right. It really just was weird, because we're like, okay, season premiere. It's going to be on this time. And then we're sitting there, and then I'm looking online, and it's saying season 3 and 4 are both available online. I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
Right.
I mean, episode 3 and 4, and I'm just like, okay. So then when we watch those, and then like new episode on Sunday, and we're thinking, okay, episode 5 is gonna be available. Nope, it's episode 3. We're like,
What is going on?
and then we're like, okay, when next week comes episode, we're like, oh come on.
Well, the numbering thing has been confusing too because I always thought they were going to count the pilot as one episode, but they
Because
made
it
two
it aired as one. It even
Right.
recorded on my DVR as episode 1. It
One,
didn't say
yeah.
episode 3.
one or two, 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Nothing like that. Yeah. So it's created a lot of confusion, and I think it's kind of hit people that are on the fence about the show to begin with. It's drawn it out and it's made it a little bit more painful. Because when you get a series started, you have to have these character building episodes, but give us a little bit more action, I think, and that's why I'm giving this one a B-, which is my lowest grade so far for this episode.
Yep.
Let's go into episode 5 now, The High Tower. I like this episode a lot because of the action, so I'm going to give this one a solid B. Had great action. We get a lot of plot. We meet new characters. We see the hierarchy of the tower, I should say, and the Colossus. We get some good action. The First Order's involved. We got some villain action going on here. I like this episode as a whole. I wish we would have gotten this earlier, or whatever. But I'll give it a solid B. What'd you think, Brian?
I'll go C+.
Okay.
For the fact that we actually get some Star Wars stuff in there, like with the New Order. So we did get some troopers.
Yeah.
We did get to see Donald Faison's character.
Yes. Yep.
So, I mean, I was excited to hear how he was, because I like him on Scrubs. I liked him in the movie Clueless. So it's one of those like, okay, let's see how he's going to fit in. And it was okay.
Yeah.
But it wasn't anything great. Like, it wasn't anything like, oh, I'm okay, now I'm sold on this show, anything like that. But so
right.
I'll stay just above average on that. So I'll give it a C+.
C+, yeah. I think they're in the right direction. I'm hoping that we only continue to build now. The next week, I don't want it to be like Rebels, or Rebels used to give us like a really great episode, and then we dive down an episode, and then we get a great episode again. I'm hoping that they build us.
Right.
Yep. And that next week that we get more of the First Order, or we get more complications of what he's found out, like how he thinks Captain Doza is a bad guy now, and how that's going to play out between him and Doza, and between the First Order. So hopefully we get a lot more action, and we start to we can still character build, but we can character build with at least a main plot going on.
Right.
And they can throw some side stuff at us too, but yeah, so. All right. Well, before we go, where can you find 4 Midwest Guys? Well, it's real easy. The best place to go is www.4midwestguys.com. There we've got links to our Facebook, Twitter, our iTunes, our Podbean account, which is now being updated going forward. So we now have the audio only of these podcasts being shared, as well as the video on YouTube, which you can also get to our YouTube account as well. You can follow, like, and subscribe. Everything on 4midwestguys.com. If you want to follow us just on Facebook, it's facebook.com/4MidwestGuys. Twitter @4MidwestGuys. On Instagram, same thing, it's @4_Midwest_guys. I need to fix that. And Brian, where can they find you there? Stardust/Twitter.
At Inkzone.
And you can find me Stardust/Twitter, also at BWillie1977. So a lot of behind the scenes stuff going up on the Instagram here the last few weeks, and we'll continue with that. So make sure you again follow, like, subscribe, reach out to us. We're always looking for feedback on these shows, whether it's positive or negative. We can only improve with feedback. So
right.
So let us know.
Or if you have stuff you've noticed that you want us to talk about, be sure to email us or message us on Twitter and say, hey, what about this scene? What did you think here? Or hey, what about this other show for Star Wars? Because we don't just talk about Star Wars Resistance. We talk about other things, too.
Yes.
This is our Star Wars Resistance show. However, we do have our other shows with our Star Wars updates and things of that nature. Probably going to be bringing back the either Marvel DC Kings in some way, shape, or fashion.
Some new form, maybe.
Yeah. So that'll be coming back, too. We got Gotham coming back in January and stuff. But yeah, anything you guys want to talk about, shoot it. We'll talk about it. Love to hear from you.
Yeah, and since this is the Resistance show, if you have questions about Resistance that you want us to definitely cover, please feel free. We'll be more than happy to put them, not only give you the credit for the question, but obviously give us our best takes on what we think.
Or theories. Like, I would love to hear
theories.
theories on it, too, because we love to talk theory.
Oh, yeah, because there's big speculation. And, for those that are struggling with Resistance, and I had a big conversation. There's a animated Star Wars lovers group on Facebook, and I'm a part of that. And a lot of people are having trouble. And I'm like, patience, guys, because his dad is on Hosnian Prime. He's a senator. This takes place 6 months before Force Awakens happens. If you haven't seen Force Awakens, go watch it. You know what happens to Hosnian Prime. So some stuff is going to happen to Kaz big time, probably more than likely. That alone should be enough to keep you hooked, and just to see what happens, I think.
Right.
So, all right. Well, Brian, as always, I want to thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, man.
And this is B. Willie saying, may the Force be with you always.